I know this transformation is painful, but you're not falling apart. You're just falling into something different with a new capacity to be beautiful. William C. Hannon. All right.
Hi guys, welcome back to Sis N Giggles. I'm your co-host Kecia and
I'm Karen.
whoop whoop. All right, so today we are going to be talking about life pre-COVID and post-COVID and how that changed everything. But before we get into it, Karen made us some ceviche.
Fresh ceviche.
Ooh, girl, you fancy. That shit ain't gonna make my stomach hurt now.
Why would it make your stomach hurt?
I don't know.
Have you not had ceviche?
I've had ceviche before. Yeah.
You didn't like it?
Every time I think of something raw, you know what? I love ceviche. I love raw tuna. I love sushi bowls. I love all that stuff, right? But every time I think of raw stuff, it automatically goes to that. And it wasn't even raw food, right? On Girls Trip. Was it Girls? No, not Girls Trip. Bridesmaid, when they ate at that Brazilian restaurant and they all got a stomach virus. And they were like,
and everywhere. Wow.
But I trust you. I saw you make it. I believe in you. It's great.
Also not raw.
It is not raw. You're right. It's not raw. It's cooked. Tripping. Had a tangent. Forget everything I said. Yes, it is cooked. Please tell us about your ceviche, ma'am.
So I made a shrimp and crab ceviche. I don't like cucumbers, so no cucumbers are in it, but it does have some mango, some red onion, jalapeno. So hopefully you like it.
I will.
Try some.
Okay, hold on.
First bite. Glad you like it.
I don't want to hear the crunching in the microphone.
It's like, damn, Keisha was hungry today.
Oh my God, but it is really good. It's actually better than a lot of restaurants I've had it at. Market that shit, girl.
Okay, girl. Killer K ceviche.
Ceviche at the beach. Well, at the house.
At the house. I wish I was at a beach. That's actually what I'm trying to like manifest. So
I'm feeling it.
I need a beach.
Yeah, me too. I need a re-beach.
You do, friend. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you.
It is what it is.
But I'm going to be there next time.
You will.
All right. So
let's talk about COVID.
I don't want to talk about COVID because
it's a form of therapy, right?
I guess so. That was like a rough time period.
But the thing about it was a rough time period for everybody, right? It wasn't just an isolated event just for one person. Like we all went through together.
You are so right.
So tell me about your COVID experience. Like, let's talk about what life was before COVID for you.
Oh, man.
Like, what was a normal day?
So before COVID, I feel like life was good, honestly. Like, I had my shit together. I had a good job. Great family and friends still. I felt like I was honestly in a place in life to where I was okay. I can't sit up here like being very honest and say like, oh, I was super happy, because I was also in this phase of life to where I was like, you know what? I've done everything like the quote unquote right way. Now I want to start to see like what it looks like to step outside of my comfort zone. So before COVID, like things were very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very stable. Like they just kind of were. Like my job was good. My life was good. I had done a ton of self work. And I was in a good place.
So let's talk about this. So for me, before COVID, I had just found out I was pregnant. So there was a lot of mixed emotions right then and there. I was working in human resources at a hospitality company, so I dealt with people that dealt with people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of people dealing, and we had just came out of Mardi Gras, and we kind of knew COVID was a thing because it was like, make sure we have hand sanitizer, make sure that you're not really touching anybody, because people like to shake hands. I never was a shake hand person, like dap me off or something like that. Like when people reach their hand out to me, I'm kind of like, ee. Um, but it was like COVID was kind of a thing, but we didn't know where we stood at. We, would go out and have fun and figure, just hang with friends and let's go do brunch. And, it was normal life. Like I was like planning a baby shower with like all my friends, all my family, being able to like go places, do things. I also knew that I was about to get married. So like, what did that look like? Like how we're going to like plan this big wedding, and we had bought land. So it was like, okay, well, we have so much going on. Like, I want to build a house. This is what it's going to look like. We just bought, all of this. I had no plans of becoming an entrepreneur. That was the furthest thing from my mind. It was more like, I'm going to have a baby. We're going to build a house. I need to ask for more money at my job, right? And it was, once this little COVID thing happened, I may work from home a couple of weeks out the next couple of months, but that's life. Like, it's going to be back to normal, right? So tell me when, like, we kind of knew COVID was happening. So tell me, like,
Oof. I'm just thinking about it.
oh, so tell me, like, when the got real, like, when it was like, oh, we really in a pandemic, like, stuff is changing.
So I would say got real for me because also right before COVID, and I'm talking like 2 maybe 3 weeks before COVID, I started like filming for Married at First Sight. I had gotten married to a stranger, and that was already honestly overwhelming enough because like I had a job with a lot of responsibility. I worked in project management at like the largest healthcare system in southeast United States. That was demanding. Then I signed up for the show.
Mind you, I was like, yes, girl, do that show, do that show. I mean, you never know what would happen, right? And here we are.
You were pro me doing the show. And so I was kind of like I said, I was in a space of like, let me get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I was like, this is crazy, but it might be a way that I meet that person that could be my forever person. And I was like, you know what? Worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out, it was this experience that I had. But I was also losing my mind at the same time because there came a point in time where I dead ass wanted to like drop out. Like once I realized how far I got into casting, I was like, I can't really do this. But really hit the fan because we went on our honeymoon for the show, and we came back, and pretty much a week after we came back, because when we were on the honeymoon, we heard all the gossiping and the chatting and stuff like that. I was actually really sick when I was first filming, like from right before the wedding to like when I got back from the honeymoon. I was like actually sick. And so I didn't know if I even like had COVID at one point and didn't know it. But anyways, hit the fan because it was like the hospital like pretty much went on lockdown. Like I remember my boss reached out and she was like, everybody drop everything that you have unless it is absolutely necessary. Like pause every project that y'all have going on, and all hands were on deck for COVID projects. And they started literally just like plugging us into different places in the hospital. So that's when I think it hit the fan for me, is because when I saw the hospital locked down and I saw that like we had to be like boots on the ground essentially, I'm like, I work in project management. Like I am not a clinical person and I'm still going into the hospital every day. Like I said, hearing just these horrible stories. I was on the team that like had to do with the entry for hospital and also reassigning like the people resources. So like getting people to work different types of shifts and roles in the meantime. And whew, like I think I've never seen so many employees cry. Like when I tell you everybody had a day where they broke down, like everybody had a day where they broke down. And my day, I remember I had to tell this lady with a physician assistant, I had to sit in on that conversation to tell her that not only was her husband dying, but that she couldn't see him. And
Yeah, that seems very, very heavy. And I have my own experience with being in a hospital and nobody can see me. Like, so
yes.
I can losing somebody that you are in love with and is your partner is hard in itself, but like not being able to console that person, I can definitely see that being hard on that person, but like you being there to watch it in real time.
And you know, you
Yeah.
can't touch people. Like, so you can't comfort them in ways you normally would because it was like everything would stay 6 feet apart. So it's like I couldn't even reach out and like touch this lady on her arm to be like, ma'am, it's going to be okay. It's like I'm sitting there 6 feet from her, 6 feet from the physician assistant, and she's just crying her eyes out, telling us how she's been with this man for over 30, 40, 50 years. And it's just like, she's like, this is all I know. Like, I don't know life without him. And this, like, physician's assistant is like, you don't even want to see your husband right now. He was like, he has tubes in him. I forget the name of the position that they said he was in, but they basically flipped him so he wouldn't be like drowning in his own fluids. Like, it was just a lot. And like, that was a very like, traumatizing moment for me because I was not prepared.
So for me, when I realized shit was getting real, um, so of course I worked in a hotel and they had like my office was in the sales office.
Mm-hmm.
So I would hear the sales team talking about, oh, this group canceled or this group canceled, or we're trying to see if we can redo this or like drop the prices of the rooms, because I learned a lot working at the hotel, like how rooms are priced and the different website that they are on and stuff like that. So it was more like drop the room, let's see if we can get this. Oh, our occupancy rate is like 20%, 30%. What can we do to get people in? And it just was like a ghost town one day. And I was like, oh man, what is happening?
Mm-hmm.
I remember getting information of the first COVID case in New Orleans. It was like this big thing. Like it was like one case, then it was like 2 cases, then it was like 20 cases. And then the manager was like, hey, we're going to send everybody home. And all of the managers were going to go outside and have a meeting, because we couldn't even have meetings like in our office. We were like stood outside in like the Valley Bay area.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like everybody was like 6 feet apart. And it was like, okay, so we're going to basically run a skeleton crew and everybody go home. And we're going to call you. It was like, we're going to call you. We're going to do like different government loans that they have out. You don't have to worry about your position. Everything's going to be fine. You know, with some rainbows and unicorns and sparkles. And just go home and we'll call you. So, you know, I was salary position. I was human resources like a month, not even a month, like 2 weeks leading up to this. I didn't do anything because I was a recruiter. Nobody was hiring. Like they're not having business. There's really nothing for me to do. So I'm like helping the front desk. I'm like helping in the back, like anything I could do to be like relevant at this point in time, because bitch, I ain't trying to lose my job. Like I got bills. I actually want a raise. Can I get a raise, ma'am? So,
and you had bought a new car, right?
I had just bought a new car. It was a lot of things happening.
And were you pregnant?
I was pregnant. I was like a month pregnant.
Bought a new car.
Bought land. Yeah.
In shambles. So they told us to go home, and I told Brian, and I was like, oh, everything's gonna be fine, girl. Come my birthday,
I got a phone call from one of the girls that worked in the sales office, and she was like, I think I just got let go. I was like, what do you mean? She was like, I got let go. And I was like, oh, I haven't heard anything, being that I'm human resources. And
Damn. That should have been the hint.
I was like, right.
HR don't know.
Like, I don't know.
HR about to go too.
Gone. So then my manager called me, the hotel manager. She was like, I'm sorry to tell you this, but unfortunately we have to let you go. And it's kind of like, I knew it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I knew it was down the pipeline. Like, what can you do?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, you know, what do you do? What can you do? There's nothing that you can do. You just got to take the rolls, the punches with the rolls with the punches, whatever. So life for me during COVID was very difficult. Like you said before, I had just purchased a vehicle. I had just found out I was pregnant. I had just bought land for a house, planning on building it. And everything came to a complete screeching halt. Like, I had no job. I started collecting unemployment because I needed income. And at that point in time, you know, the government was trying to give assistance. So I got on everything I could possibly get on. I was on unemployment. I was on food stamps. I was on give me stimulus checks. I had a, you know, anything that I could apply for, baby, best believe I was trying to get it, because I didn't want to be a burden. Like, my whole thing is I've been in a position where I've been laid off before because of downsizing of a company. That to me is like a horrible feeling. Like, I've been trained, I guess, to work my entire life. So not working and not doing nothing and just having all this idle time. Like, the first couple of weeks, she was like, yeah, girl, I need this break. Whoo, child, I'm tired. But then, like, after like a month, you're like, I am bored. I'm bored. I can't see anybody. I can't go to the store without wearing a mask. I seen that somebody, like, masks were on shortage. Toilet paper. When I tell you, I was stealing toilet paper from my mom at that point. Like,
Listen, even in the hospital, we were fighting for masks in the hospital.
Yeah.
It was just like between hand sanitizer, mask, like, it's like, who has it?
Yeah, like, the precious. Like, it was surreal. Like, I never thought that I would be scared not to have toilet paper. Like, rationing out, like, all right, I only got 2 rolls left. What we doing? But the good thing about it is, like, I always was like a stockpiler. So in my house, I'm gonna always have toilet paper and soap.
I was gonna say, but the crazy thing is, why were we getting all that toilet
Why
paper?
were
Like,
we
what did that
getting
have
all
to
the toilet
do
paper?
with COVID?
I have no idea. It was probably something on the internet, and people were like, toilet paper. Like, yes, they had shortages in a lot of things, but
Baby,
where
you don't need
did the
that much toilet
come
paper,
from?
right?
Yeah, that was wild to me. But I was on the train. We buying toilet paper. I'm buying toilet paper. I like, so
Because you don't want to go without.
I don't want to go without, right? And I got a big ass, so we gonna get this toilet paper, sister. So in the first couple of months, it was, you know, difficult. See, in the middle of it, I was completely depressed. I was hormonal because I was pregnant. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if I wanted to bring a child into this world that, like, life was awful. Like, a lot of people that I knew or knew from people were passing. They were dying. It was like, you hear the stories in New York where they had like shipping containers of bodies. People were living with dead bodies in their house because they just could not get them out. Like, it would, like, contain itself, and then 2 days later it's like, we have a world epidemic. Like, it's back out again. Like,
Yeah.
you couldn't. It was a lot for me because I was very vulnerable because I was pregnant, and all I wanted to do was be around my mom and dad for support, and I was there. But when it was time for me to have my baby, I had none of that. Like, I couldn't have anybody in the room with me but my husband.
You know, I never really like thought about that until this moment.
Yeah. So my wedding, because I was determined to be married before I had this baby. My wedding, I had like 50 people, which
I was there.
Yeah, you were there. It was the people that needed to be there, but of course I didn't plan on having a small wedding,
Yeah.
right? My wedding was a wedding baby shower. Like, I had a wedding slash baby shower because I didn't want to inconvenience people multiple times because I didn't know if the restrictions were going to change, if they could come out, they can't come out. So I was like, F it, we going to do one and the same. My gender reveal was a drive-by.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
Beep, beep.
Beep,
What will
beep,
it
outside.
be?
What will it be? Pop it. You got box plates and you went by your
Got
business.
some cake. The
You got
cake
some
was
cake,
good.
some cupcakes, some crawfish, some whatever, and you was good.
Oh,
And
yeah, I forgot the drive-by crawfish.
yeah, drive-by
levels.
crawfish. Yeah. It was like, I'm a social person with my people, so not being able to touch and hug because I knew the situation, and it wasn't for like if I wasn't pregnant, maybe we'd be doing everything, but I didn't know what it would be like for my child. But when it was time to have the baby, it was just a random checkup. And the day before, I felt like a sharp pain. I was like, "Ooh, it's just gas." I'm gonna walk it out, and and my husband was like, "No, what's wrong?" And I was like, "It's fine, it's gas." But when I went, they were like, your embryonic fluid was low. We're gonna take the baby." So they told him, if you leave, you can't come back. So he had to like make all his arrangements. Good thing at that point I was traveling with my suitcase, but I broke down in the hospital because my mom could not be there with me. My dad could not be there with me. Like my sister, I wanted my sister to deliver my baby, and this is really getting emotional because when I think about it, my mom was like, "I'm gonna bring some balloons in the parking garage and just have Brian come out," and I was like, "You can't. If he leaves me, it's just me."
Yeah.
And it was heartbreaking. Yeah, so the first thing I did when I left the hospital was one, fight with the car seat because I didn't know how to put a baby in a car seat. Like the couple of days before, like, you know, you have to have the car seat in the car before you pick your baby up. Riley was born in September, so it was hot as hell, and I'm pregnant, and I'm fighting with this car seat. So I didn't have any idea, like, oh, I need one of those things that go around her head. So we're like putting her in a car seat, like stuffing blankets behind her head so she don't have like this wobble neck. So the first thing I did when I left was went straight to my mom's house and cried because I was like, I really wanted you there, and it was a lot. But I be thinking about I should have another child just so she could be there. But that.
What did your mom do when she just like? Cause I mean, I'm not a mom, but I feel like that would be such a hard like moment. Like your baby just came home with a baby, and like you didn't get to be there.
So it was tough for her, but at the same time, she had to be tough for me.
Yeah.
So whatever emotions that she was feeling, she basically had to bear it down. And when Briley was born, she was like, skirt, skirt. I need my baby, like the baby. And then after that, like, she basically, whenever I needed something, she was there. Like, she tried to like, oh, it's your baby. Like the first 2 days, I would say like the first 3 days, she probably like didn't come because she was like, I wanted to get you your space. But baby, when she came, I was like, thank you, help me, I'm dying. And she was like, have you been feeding? I was like, yes, I'm breastfeeding. She was like, the old ass titties, girl, go get this baby some milk. She was like,
she said you got old
she
ass
was like,
titties.
ain't nothing coming out because I wasn't lactating. I think it was because I had a cesarean, but whatever. And she was like, this baby hungry. And she was like, get some milk. Forget what them people saying. Get his baby some milk. But you know, I don't know if it was a me, but it was like, I want to give my baby breast milk. It's liquid gold. I don't want to give her, you know, canned milk. But it was like, this baby is hungry. Give her this canned milk. And then after that, like, she was fine.
Yeah.
But I remember the first time, like, they took her as an infant for her to like sleep over just so I can get a nap. At 3:00 in the morning, my dad was like banging on the door, and I was like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And he was like, "Oh, nothing. We just need a bottle." I was like,
he gave you a heart attack over needing a bottle?
He was like, "Well, none of the stores are open, and we cut a hole too big at the top of the bottle, so it's coming out too fast." I was like,
"Your first free night."
Yes. But
with
anyway.
your old ass titties.
She didn't use those words specifically, but I know that's what she was thinking. Okay. She was like, the things ain't working, girl.
Not your titties not working. They got too many miles on them. They done
Oh,
broke
man.
down.
Did you say too many miles? There are 0 miles on them. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Next subject. So now that like we can look back at the things with dealing with COVID, how has life in general changed? Like we know health practices have changed, right? Like normalizing wearing masks out in public has
Mm,
changed. I still see people now wear masks out in public, and now because we've been through COVID, I don't even see it like what's wrong with them. Like you know, um, heightened hygiene awareness, right?
mm-hmm.
Like to pump gas now. Like at first it was kind of like an automatic response. You touch the nozzle, you put in your gas. But girl, I need a napkin to touch the nozzle to put it in there because you don't
Mm,
know who's scratching their balls, who digging in their nose, who like, wiping their ass and grabbing it, and then you have to grab it and put because ain't nobody going back out and sanitize that.
right.
So it's like then you unconsciously think the things that you touch after you pump your gas. So you're like touching your steering wheel, touching your handles on the side. Like
Mm,
some people go through drive-throughs and eat like, and you haven't washed your hands.
yeah.
Like I think I became a germaphobe after COVID. What about you?
Do you remember when like people first really learned how to wash their hands? Like that was a whole thing at the hospital. Like it was like, oh, people really learn how to wash their hands, how to use hand sanitizer. Because before COVID, I feel like scrubble dub dub a little bit, rinse them off, use a little soap, and people would just go on about their business.
You know what? I was getting to a point where if I were in a public place and I had to use the bathroom, one thing I hate using the bathroom in public place. I will
Hmm.
wash my hands before I use the bathroom, and then wash my hands before I leave. Like I was like, what if I touch? Because I try not to touch the handles. Like I push with my elbows.
Hmm.
I'm pushing with my foot. Like, baby, I'm not flushing no toilet. If you flush the toilet, flush the toilet with your hands, that's gross. Like you better use your foot, like or just leave it there because I'm not touching it. I'm not touching it. So I felt like it was ingrained in us during COVID. Like wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. So I was like washing my hands before I used the bathroom, washing my hands after, hand sanitizer. My hands was ashy, dry, cracked, but yeah, it's yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there was this whole like, I don't know, just the whole like, we all need to learn how to wash our hands as adults.
They tell you to do like the ABC song, but I was somebody was like singing if you sing my neck, my back chorus is the same things. I was like my neck, my back, like wash your hand. It was better than the ABC song to me. I don't know, whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
For me, I feel like there were a lot of changes after COVID. Like I was still married once things calmed down, but I'm not gonna lie, like COVID kind of showed me who was like really there and in my corner and who wasn't.
Dun dun dun.
Because there were certain things that happened um in my relationships where I was like, that's not a person I can count on, or that's not a person that I want around. Like, because everybody went into survival mode. So it's like, and that was another stressful part. Like, you had all these different opinions on like getting vaccinated, not getting vaccinated, like stress around like who do you go around, who do you spend time with, like who do you open up your circle to. And I don't know, I just feel like I learned a lot about people and like the importance of having like people that are like there for you no matter like what's going on in the world. Cuz I had some like painful moments where I was like, "Dang, this person really don't have my back, or I really cannot depend on them the way that I thought I would be able to depend on them." So,
Yeah, you have like a lot of realization, a lot of adult lessons are learned at that point in time. Like you, yeah, you see people for who they are, even if it's, emotional support. And then, but it's kind of hard to like judge people because at that point they have a lot of shit going on too. So it's like
Yeah,
we
that's
had,
what everybody went to survival
mm-hmm,
mode. Yeah, so it is hard to judge people because, like, a lot of people did things out of fear,
mm-hmm.
right? They were scared. They didn't know what to do. Like, looking back on it, I'm like, so much of what we did as a society, right? Not just as a person, but as a society was stupid.
Yeah, the toilet paper.
It was stupid, you know? Or
Hoarding toilet paper. I bet you people still out there with a garage full of toilet paper and cleaning supply. Because for
from
what?
COVID,
Yeah.
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 So, I don't know.
I still have, so for Briley's first birthday, like it was still like the mask thing was still a thing. I had got, well, her birthday was canceled because of a hurricane, right? If it's not one thing, it's another. I still have like masks for her birthday because everybody was going to wear a mask. Like it was a part of, society at that point in time. Like people were making money off of masks. That's just selling masks at that point in time. But yeah. Another thing that changed was, of course, people were working remote. Like, I think corporations realized that I don't need to spend money on lights and rent and whatever. I'm gonna make you spend your money on your lights, your rent, your internet, and let you work from home. Which I think is an amazing thing, but at the same time, like, I don't know. What are your thoughts on working from home?
I actually like working from home. I love the flexibility of being able to just have a remote lifestyle. And like even before COVID, like I didn't realize this, but I didn't really like realize this until I really thought about it, but I had a very like flexible position. And I had had flexible positions for years. Like I had always worked remote in some capacity, or hybrid, I should say, in some capacity. So for me, it works because I like being able to, like, okay, when I need to come into the office and meet with you, great. But honestly, like, I like it where it's like, okay, this is a light week. I can go visit my family. I can go on vacation even if I want, and like just be working from a different place. Now, obviously, I do think it has like some pros and some cons to like working from home, but I think a lot of it is around like the boundaries that you set and really just like how you kind of set up your own place.
Girl, you gotta be a specific person to work from home because I know that one of some days I'll probably be like laying on the couch, move this mouse a little bit. I'm still here. Let me move this mouse.
I mean, but if you ain't got nothing to do, I'd rather wiggle the mouse from my couch than wiggle it at
from
work.
Right? Right, because you'll be at work looking at the clock, walking around other people's cubicle, be like, "Hey, what we doing for lunch?"
I remember when we used to be at Ochsner, you would get to work hella early.
Because I could leave hella early.
But you would knock out your work, and then pretty much from like 12 to 3,
clock watching.
you would just be like...
My personality is like, I obsess over stuff until it's done.
Mm-hmm.
So when I seen that somebody else that was working there was coming in at 7:30, who you talking to at 7:30? But you leaving at 3:30.
Right.
So I'm gonna leave at 3:30. So I'm gonna come here at 7:30. I wake up early. I will wake up early, and I will come to work and I do this little paperwork. So when 9 o'clock hit and people answering their phones and it's an appropriate time for me to call you, I'm calling.
Yeah.
It ain't my fault if you answer the phone.
Yeah.
So I would do this, do. See, when 3:20 we click and I would log out of all of my systems. 3:25 I'm switching my shoes. 3:30 baby washing my dust. I'm gone. I am gone. 3:35 I'm backing out the car. Like baby, at 3:40 I probably didn't either went to the gym. I'm going to the gym. I'm going on a lunch date, or I done took a shower and I'm watching My 600-Pound Life on TV because I'm not about to be at your job all day.
Yeah.
Now that I'm an entrepreneur, I'm at somebody's job all day. I'm at my job all day, all night. People call me and text me at 8 o'clock about a cake, about this, about that. I'm sending you messages about the podcast. So, yeah.
That's actually one thing I want to talk about too, like life after COVID. So, which honestly, it was it was less of COVID that caused me to step away from work, because I think I was just one burnt out from years of
Mm.
like, I was that person where I'm like, oh, I'm putting in 50, 60 hours a week at work, getting everything done. So I think I was just like burnt out from that standpoint. But then you add in like the whole reality TV thing and everything that came with it. And that's when I was burnt out more like emotionally and spiritually. And so, like, life after COVID, it's like, okay, you're an entrepreneur, you're now divorced. You have been looking for a job for a while, but that's like another thing. The job market, like, because you went from all these people got laid off because of COVID, they weren't able to work, to now everybody's remote. Now they're transitioning to people being back in the office.
Right.
And then it's like you're losing people from that, or like people are trying to figure out just like how they want to.
How do we don't want to
Is it
approach it?
hybrid?
Yeah.
Is it, I don't mind going into the office. Like, what does it look like? And now you have this influx of just like candidates and qualified people that are in the market, and like they can't find jobs. Like, people are hiring, but it's just so many qualified people out there. I talked to a career coach. She literally said before like COVID, she was like, I would have like 50 to 60 people on average like apply to my job openings. She's like, now, like after all the COVID dust has settled, like things are getting back to like the new normal, or getting to the new normal, whatever that is. She's like, I easily have over just a few days over 1,000 people apply to those same jobs.
Well, one thing is to during COVID, like we were given so much money. Like, what's the point of working? Like, I'm getting, what is it, $1,200 a week in unemployment? Oh, the best. I was getting my unemployment. I was getting my food stamps. I was getting my stimulus checks. I was getting money from having kids.
Hold up. You was getting $1,200 a week from unemployment?
I was getting paid during unemployment because you had your regular unemployment and then you got like stimulus from COVID.
Why was I working?
Bitch, why were you working?
You made more than me.
I did.
And I was stressed out crying at work.
Like, and that's why I wasn't, like, in the beginning, I wasn't worried. I was like, oh, girl, it's not going to be bad. And then I'm going to find a job again. And then, like, slowly but surely, they started cutting them down. Checks, the unemployment checks started getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And, she got real. Like, I didn't have a job, so I got on Medicaid. I had a baby, so I was on WIC. Like, people they weren't working, but for the most part, they didn't have anything to worry about. Like, but when the shit hit the fan and they was like, give me that. Oh yeah, I'm gonna give you a stimulus check, but you got to put it on your taxes, and they had to end up like paying certain things back. Like, it was an eye-opening experience. So now that companies have people working from home, they are saving money on all the stuff they don't have to pay for. Like, they don't have to pay for lights, they don't have to pay for certain rents and stuff like that. But at the same time, more people are trying to get a job now because all the money that they had during COVID is not working. A lot of people started businesses during COVID. So many people started businesses during COVID. Now, a lot of digital businesses, like, people became TikTok famous.
Yeah.
I wish I would have started this during COVID, but
Right.
podcasts, TikTok, Instagram influence, like all of that blew up, right? And people thought that I'm going to become an influencer so I don't have to work, right? And now we're seeing a ripple effect of everything. Like, you as an influencer, you're starting to see like probably some things are slowing down. Everything is so much higher now.
Things are definitely slowing down.
Yeah, things are slowing down. Things are higher now. So it's like people, the money that they thought they had, like, they don't have, or they didn't account for it. So now they have to get a job. So everybody's trying to get a job, when it's like these companies are realizing, I don't need this position. I don't need that position. I can do this from a work from home position. So it's like we are stuck.
And the other side,
Oh, shoot.
and the other side, I feel like to that is like, there are a lot of companies that want to go back to having people in the office. And so, like, that's another thing I've been seeing a lot of articles on is that, like, now that they're calling people, requiring them to go back into the office, like, some people are losing their jobs that way because it's like, oh, you were remote. So, like, your job was originally based out of Houston. Then you went remote for COVID. Now that they want people back into the office, because that's another thing I feel like businesses are seeing. Some of them have contracts, right? Some of them have buildings that they bought that are just empty. So it's basically just like liability. And so it's like, well, how do we get people in the office to where we're not wasting all of this money on just having these buildings and paying this rent? And so you see that, like, a lot of people are like, well, I now for the past year and a half built my entire life in a whole different city. Now you're saying I have to come back to the office, which means I have to move, I have to relocate, like I have to change my lifestyle. So
But that's
like,
a productivity thing too. The people taking naps on them.
yeah.
So working from home and people going back into the office, I feel like it's going to be a thing. But people are so comfortable from working from home now. It's going to be a struggle to find a work from home job because everybody's going to want that
Everybody
now.
wants it.
Yeah, and then how are you going to convince people to come into the office? One, because you ain't paying people, and then you want these people to have 10 and 15 years of experience, but only want to pay them $50,000. Like, the math ain't mathing. So that's one thing. We do have a statistic. It says that Internal Labor Organization estimated that global unemployment rose by nearly 100 million in 2020 compared to 2019. And also that supply chain disruptions increased the cost of business and it exacerbated. So we did see, like, there was supply chains, people weren't getting stuff. The trucking industry was hit, like it had a boom, and then it kind of like just dwindled down because like it was if you don't know anything about the trucking industry, basically it's somebody to put out there like, hey, I have this load, like it's like a board that they use. Hey, I have this load for $1,000, who can do it? So now that you have an influx of people in the trucking industry, somebody say I could do it for $600. So now you're cutting down the price of it, and then now next time I go on there and say I have a load, I'm gonna price it for $600, and I know somebody's gonna do it. So it's like, yeah, they were making money, but now it's kind of like harder to make money. So I saw that a lot because my husband kind of like dabbled into the trucking industry, but it was like things like that, like it was a boom, and then everything kind of just went back to normal.
Another thing, and this is kind of off subject, but I feel like COVID was such an awakening for people because having that time to step away from like work, right? And just like the everyday life, the everyday socialization. I feel like people had a lot of like internal realizations. They had to pause and face themselves because it's like you can't go out. You're not
out.
bar hopping. You're not like, I'm at work all day. Now I'm going to go to happy hour. Like, no, you had to sit with yourself or sit with the people around you.
In terms, a lot of domestic violence arose. Like,
really?
like that was like one of the big things. Like, you can escape your domestic abuser at work or going out or going by your family members, but with COVID you had to be there, like you had to endure that. So that was one of the big things that I heard a lot about during COVID. Like, people were like, reach out to me if you had like anything going on that you couldn't escape, because they were literally trapped with that person. So like a lot of mental health issues arose during that time too. So it wasn't just like the job market that was hit. It was like every aspect of life was affected during COVID. Like,
and I feel like it was a wake up for me because, I mean, granted, like I said, more than COVID obviously was going on for me, but I started to see some people for who they were. I also think that like throughout this period, like I have been, which I know it's a blessing now, like a blessing to see like what the other side of life could look like. I did have the opportunity to become like an influencer and do these different things. But I had a lot of realizations too on what was important and like just how I wanted my life to be. Because it's like now you want to feel like you're
You're
never
in
going to be in a
charge.
position again to like if another pandemic comes,
I've been
I'm
laid off
good.
twice, right? I've been laid off twice in my lifetime, and it is a terrible feeling every time, because it's not something that I did. But during the COVID, I was one of those people that started a business. Like I started a business. I was like, I can't fire myself, right? I have to put as much effort as I would in myself that I would with somebody else's business. So I was one of those people that started a business, and I learned a lot about myself. And it you can never give up on yourself because you don't want to fail yourself. So it's harder to give up on yourself because you know you have yourself dependent on it, you have your family dependent on it, you put so much into your business. It's kind of like your baby. Like I don't want to let it go because this is my baby, my blood, sweat, and tears. Like I worked and I like put so many sleepless nights into it. So there are some times yeah, I might be in my slow season and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go find a job. But in reality, working for yourself and then going to have to work with somebody else, you're like, I don't want to deal with y'all. So it's kind of like a yes and a no. But yeah, like COVID has shaked up a lot of things. Like I said before, I never would have thought that I would be an entrepreneur if it had not been for COVID.
Did COVID make you realize what you were capable of too?
Yes, because when you're working somebody else's job, it's easy to get up, go to work, do what you got to do. But when you are doing something for yourself, like you have to hustle and make your money. It's not just going and clocking in and clocking out. Like you have to make people come to you. You have to make your brand. You have to make your money. So it's not like I'm gonna just go to work. Going to work is easy. Working for yourself is hard because you have to be like open to criticize, people criticizing. You have to be open to meeting people. You have to be a public speaker. You have to try new things. You cannot be scared because if you're scared and if you don't change, you will fail.
Girl, I'm still scared.
Good luck.
But I'm working it out.
Scared money don't make no money.
You're right. But like, that's why I'm grateful for this because like, I don't know, it's just support in a different way. Like that was also one of the things I went through. Like I didn't realize like how, I don't want to say unsupported, but like I had a network before when I was working for someone. There was an HR department. There was an accounting department. There were colleagues that I could bounce ideas off of. I didn't have that.
You better bounce it off these walls, girl.
Exactly. But it's like I enjoy this because it's almost like I have a partner. To step out into like this new space.
I'll be your partner, girl. I'll be your groupie, baby. You know what I'm saying? I think I could sing, right? My dad could sing really good, so I think I could sing. It didn't transfer.
No.
It didn't transfer. But yeah, guys. So that was our little spiel on COVID, the good, the bad, the ugly, the experiences. Tell us what you guys have experienced through COVID. Yeah. What has changed in your life since COVID? Do you work from home? Do you not work at all? Do you have your own business?
Did you go through a transformation?
Did you go through a transformation, a metamorphosis? Are you a new butterfly? Please let us know.
Spread them wings, baby
Spread
girl.
the wings. Remember to go on our Patreon and subscribe for that extra episode a month and recipes either for food or either for savory or sweet. Also, if you like us, please hit that 5-star review on our podcast, wherever you're listening at. If you do not like us, do not come back. But if you do like us, please tell your friends about us.
Yes.
Like us, subscribe, and you can also watch us on YouTube for the visuals for those who are just listening. But other than that, do you have anything else?
I don't have anything else.
All right, we outie 5,000. Bye.
Toodles, bestie.